Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand. I am your host, Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal branding and business development company. I want to take you on a journey that takes another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your personal brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand podcast series, you will be able to differentiate yourself from the competition and allow you to build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build trust, and reflect who you are. Developing your 5-star personal brand is a great way to demonstrate your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh, spelled M-C-G-A-U-G-H, at 5-star BDM, B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. Now let's begin with our next 5-star episode on Follow the Brand. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting Follow the Brand podcast episode. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM. And today we have a distinguished brand strategy master joining us on our stage. Get ready to be inspired as we welcome the incredible Stephen Houraghan. Stephen's journey is an extraordinary one, filled with passion and expertise. He's not only a brand strategist, consultant, and the CEO and founder of Brand Master Academy, but he is also the brilliant mind behind the Brand Master podcast. With his extensive background in business and finance, Stephen has been a trusted advisor in stock and options trading on the Australian Securities Exchange. But it doesn't stop there. Stephen's insatiable thirst for knowledge led him to dive deeper into the realms of design and marketing. Armed with his newfound qualifications, he created the remarkable, iconic Fox agency. This agency has been instrumental in providing top-notch brand strategy and creative services to clients across the globe, thanks to Stephen's proprietary brand building systems. Now, let me tell you, Stephen is not one to keep his wisdom to himself. He's generously shared his ideas on branding and marketing with esteemed publications such as HubSpot, Marketo, Creative Block, and Design Taxi. Not only that, but he's also graced the airwaves of industry-leading podcasts like Just Branding, Brand Design Masters, Logo Geek, and Brand Tuned. Today, we have the incredible opportunity to dive deep into Stephen's wealth of knowledge and experience. Through the Brand Master Academy programs, the Brand Master podcast, the Academy YouTube channel, and the vibrant brand strategy community, he reaches tens of thousands of students and followers, sharing his proprietary systems and empowering them to transform their businesses and multiply their revenue. Stephen's teachings go beyond the surface level of branding. He challenges entrepreneurs to ask themselves tough questions, like how they can be different and who they can truly help in the marketplace. By providing the knowledge, frameworks, and processes of brand strategy, he brings his clients to a moment of epiphany, helping them see their ideas come to life through digital creation. One thing Stephen emphasizes is the power of emotion in branding. He guides his clients in crafting brands that make their clients and prospects feel something. He helps businesses understand the gap among their top competitors by conducting thorough market research. Armed with this knowledge, they can target the specific segment of their target audience that needs their product or service to fill those gaps, propelling them to become relevant and advance in the market faster. Speed to market is key. Stephen's specialty lies in visual identity design. He helps businesses create a visual representation that captures the essence of their brand and fosters a strong belief in their client. He understands that a brand exists to serve its audience, and that principle is at the core of everything he does. So, everyone listening, it's time to tune in and prepare for an incredible conversation with Stephen Houraghan. His insights and expertise will undoubtedly leave you inspired and ready to take your branding game to new heights. Welcome to the Follow Brand Podcast, Stephen Houraghan, where we are building a 5-star brand that people will follow. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great episode on the Follow Brand Podcast. I'm going across the pond. I'm going into an area that really has my beginnings as a part of my brand and what I've done as a businessman in brand development. When I first got started, and I'll be very transparent, had to be around October 2019. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next in my journey. I just finished up working for a Fortune 500 company and thinking about what am I good at? What can I bring to my audience that will bring value? And a lot of people were talking to me about personal branding. Brand, you have a great personal brand. Love the way that you brand yourself and you position yourself and you're super connected. And I was like, wow, is there a way to monetize that? Is there a business model there? And I got to looking through some YouTubes and I was looking through some different things. And I see this Houraghan guy, this Stephen Houraghan guy, this brand, Master Academy. And I'm looking at these videos and he had me hooked. You know how you get into some of these things and you start binge watching. I know you've binge watched a lot of stuff. Everybody out there, I binge watched all these videos from Stephen Houraghan. And then, lo and behold, here it is 2-3 years later. They reach out to me and like, Steve wants to be a part, be our Follow Brand. I'm like, whoa, wow, this is wonderful. Now here I am. I've gone on this journey, and one of the people that I actually idolize, I really love your work, he's on our show. So I'm going to let him introduce herself, and we're going to have a good conversation today. How about that, Steve?
That sounds great, Grant. Thank you so much for the kind words and the introduction. And it gives me a lot of pride and a lot of gratitude, a lot of just a fluffy feeling to hear you say that when you were out there looking for that information, I had a video on that gave you a bit of value because it's a very specific type of feeling that you get from just helping somebody along their journey, someone that's kind of gone down the same road as you. So it makes me very happy to hear you say that.
Oh, without question. And I recall one of the videos that I listened to that really caught my attention was your own journey. You've been in this marketing world. You've been doing certain things. You were like, how do I expand my brand? How do I bring value to my audience and to my clients? How can I do that? And you went through a transformation. You did a switch in approach and a switch in your brand and how you wanted to bring out more information, education, and how to. And for me, that was very impactful. How has that helped your career?
Absolutely tremendously. To be honest, it was partly accidental because I was forced into a situation. I would say backed into a corner really, where I had the option to try and to either give up and leave the self-employed world, leave my freelancing position, as it were, and go back into the world of employment, which I tried to escape, or to try and fight my way out of a pretty difficult situation. I chose the latter, but ultimately that's what happened. I was backed into a corner. I was providing my design services, which in part I was positioning as branding services, even though, on reflection, calling them branding services was not really doing my clients any kind of justice for what they were after, because all I was really providing them with were logos and websites, and I was contributing to that problem of that education gap about what real branding was. But the reason that I fell into the world of brand strategy was because I was in a market where it was saturated with all these other service providers providing the exact same thing as I was, but doing it at a much lower rate. So you had freelancer.com, Odesk, and you had all of these self-taught designers coming into the market and, selling selling logos for a $5, and it really devalued the work that I was doing. So the crossroads that I was at was like, okay, well, I can't compete on price. So how can I compete? How can I be different to the rest? And really, when you start to understand branding and brand strategy, that is the center point of what branding is. It's really asking yourself the question, well, how am I going to be different in the marketplace? And then that forces you to ask an even deeper question. Well, who within the marketplace am I actually trying to help? So getting to the root cause of the problem that I had, in that I wasn't differentiated at all, I was offering the same as everybody else, forced me to look internally as to what I was actually doing and how I could be different, and then who exactly I was doing it for. And all of a sudden, I was doing brand strategy before I even knew what it was. But the more I learned about it, the more this insatiable appetite grew, and I just became obsessed with brand strategy and branding from the inside out. And this grew into this framework that I knew was super valuable, first to my clients, and I started to provide this for my clients, but then later to other service providers like yourself, like other people who wanted to help their clients with their brand, but didn't fully understand the processes and frameworks that they needed to do it. So as I said, it was a very, very organic approach, but it all started by accident, by me actually looking at how I could get myself out of a sticky situation and be different from the rest of the market. And that's how it all came about.
You've done a fantastic job. You provide a service. That is the Brandmasters Academy. And I encourage anyone, whether you're starting out, you've been in the business for a while, we all need refreshers. You've got great content. You've got great information. You've got a great podcast. You've got great guests. You're actually bringing the branding and marketing world to a higher level, a higher plateau, because we've got to get out of that commoditized space. There's a huge gig economy. You were doing freelancing before it was, in vogue. Let's put it like that. Mm-hmm. And then everybody said, hey, I've got, 2 weeks of training. I can go out and do this kind of work. One thing I learned is that, I've got certain expertise. I've done this. I've been doing sales. I've been doing business development for 20, 25 years. I understood that I was developing a new muscle. That new muscle was in personal branding. I started to see where this was coming about, but I needed that information. I needed to understand, was this a viable business model? And you were able to help me frame that through a lot of discussions over YouTube to understand how to transform a business through digital transformation, to then step back, look at yourself, understand your story, and then be able to put that into a framework, whether it's a logo, whether it's a website, whether it's a post, whatever that is your digital representation of yourself. But first, you've got to do the hard work. How do you work with a client when you're trying to bring them through that framework and have that kind of discussion?
It's a great question, and it's really helping my clients and my students to see the to have the epiphany that I initially had, as in, well, look, at the end of the day, we all offer products or services, but what exactly are you doing in this world? Like, what value are you bringing to the table? Because if you go out there with products and services that are that are just contributing to the noise and are not really adding anything new, then you're just kind of making up the numbers. Okay, and a lot of us do this. A lot, certainly starting out, a lot of us, we look into the market at our competitors, and and this is kind of the instinct that we have. We think to ourselves, well, they're doing well, so they're obviously doing something right. So I need to replicate what they're doing. And in doing that, you're actually doing the opposite to what strategy is all about, and that's really being able to identify what they're doing, not for what they're doing well. It's great to understand what they're doing well, and you can certainly bring some elements of what their customers like about them into what you do. But really what you're doing is you're looking for gaps. You're looking for, okay, well, what are they not doing so well? And there's so many different ways that you can find this out. You can interview prospective clients. You can interview the market with surveys. You can ask people who are your exact target audience. You can look at review sites for bad reviews and for what people have said negatively, because obviously they didn't get what they were hoping to get, and they're juiced full of emotion as well to give you so much insight. But really, it's about flipping the switch to going, well, how can I go out there and produce a great product for the market, to going, well, no, who else is in the market, and who are they trying to serve? Who are those people? And of all of those people who could potentially want or need the service that I'm offering, who are the people that I'm most qualified to speak to, or I prefer to speak to, or who I have a better understanding of, that I can be more relevant to them, and I can tailor my messaging to them, so they see me as the obvious choice when compared to my competitors, who are not speaking directly to them, who are speaking to a broader market, who are not addressing them by their title or by the exact challenges that they have. So really, when it comes to helping students or clients to see what we're trying to do, is to highlight that massive gap in their understanding about what branding is. That no, we're not trying to get people to just recognize our brand through a logo. We're trying to get them to feel something for our brand. And the way that we do that is by getting crystal clear on exactly the segment of the audience that we're trying to target, exactly what type of challenge that we're going to help them overcome, what type of experience we're going to give them that's different from the competitors that are out there, and the way we're going to engage them, the personality that we're going to use. All of these things come together to create something that's truly unique, the way we all are as individuals, because we all have these unique elements that make us us. And that's the secret to branding, because we don't do business with corporate entities. We do business with other people, and that's why we buy into brands, because they show attributes, or they invite us into their world so that we align with who they are. So really, that is how I take clients or students on that journey, is to look at the center point of why they're here, and to help them to come up with a meaning to give their audience to choose them over their competitors. And that is branding 101.
Wow, that's you impact a lot there, and that's what makes you step back and have to truly look in the mirror, and then understand that your customers look in the mirror. There's reasons why we make choices every day. We choose certain brands every day, and if you really look at it, it's not probably just on that physical level. You choose certain things because of how it makes you feel. So you're on it's a different level. That's why, like, hey, why do I choose this particular, brand of ice cream over another brand of ice cream? Is it because the logo is so cool? Is it because, it looks and feel like, what are the reasons why I do certain things? I don't think a lot of people really step back and understand that. And then how do you articulate that?
I love that as well. Like what you just talking about ice cream as an example. I mean, just taking a brand like Häagen-Dazs, for example. Okay, well, why would somebody choose to buy Häagen-Dazs over, let's say, Ben and Jerry's, for example? Now, what a lot of people don't understand or don't know about Häagen-Dazs is that it's actually from New York. A lot of people believe that it's a European brand, that it's Danish, or that it's from Northern Europe. But the owners, the founders of Häagen-Dazs decided that they wanted to create associations with Europe and an exotic ice cream, and they are the type of people that buy Häagen-Dazs, who like that association with that feel of a European summer. And it just goes to show how far beyond just the logo that branding goes. It goes into the psychology and the understanding and what we want to feel and what we want our customers to feel about our brand and the associations that we want to create for them. So it's just a labyrinth of these different associations that we can create to build an image in the mind of the audience. And ultimately it's that image that, and when I say image, I'm not talking about how it looks, that image, that perception of the brand, that's ultimately what's going to influence their decision.
Absolutely. And I'm going to start with this statement, is that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And that is the challenge we have, especially when you're branding either yourself or a product or a service or the company. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's sometimes very difficult to get outside of yourself, because what you see as beauty, your client or the client audience may or may not see as beauty. So there's always the element of risk that you're going through. And that's why you've got to do all this work to see how things are going to be received. Are you seeing the same beauty that I'm seeing? So you've got to do a lot of work. So I want to ask you, as I'm going to call you the brand master, we're going to elevate you to mastership level. How do you establish yourself as an expert in the field?
Look, that's a great question. And I suppose what I like about how I have established myself, because look, at the end of the day, there are no shortage of marketing gurus out there. And there is a difference between marketing and branding. There's a distinct difference between the two. When we think about marketing gurus, we think of them as being, very eloquent and they can construct sentences very well to really promote the idea of a product or a service. And there is an element, I don't know I know it's not just my perception. I know that a lot of other people have this perception as well, but of course not everybody has the same perception. But to me, when I think of marketing, I think of more more spiel and more intent in their messages to get you to respond to something very specific. So there is an element of salesmanship in marketing. And that's not how I went about growing my name. The route that I took was less about marketing and more about branding. So, in order to establish myself as an expert in the branding field, I turned to branding to do that. So, I wasn't out there in the marketplace with a spiel and trying to get people to do things. I kind of, I followed my own system. I followed my own framework, the things that I pass on to my students and my clients. And I started with who my audience was. I started with, who exactly am I going after? Because out of the whole market, who wants or needs what I have, there's potentially, 70% of the whole market of business owners or business leaders. Now, if I don't follow my own advice and, and get a lot more clarity and a lot more specific with who I'm actually trying to help, then I'm not going to be any good to anybody because nobody is going to see me. So that's the first thing that I did. I got very, very clear on who it was that I was trying to help. And you can hear even from my early videos, I called out brand builders. I was calling them out from the very start, people who build brands and more specifically, those professional brand builders. And then it was a case of, well, I know all the challenges that I had starting out. They're the first things that they're the first questions I'm going to answer. So, I became obsessed with creating articles and creating videos to answer those questions that I know that my exact type of audience they have. And the reason that I know that they have these challenges is because I took the time to do the groundwork to understand who that audience was very, very intimately. So creating that content to answer the questions that I know my audience has, and then building out that authority by showing up time and again. And, at the end of the day, I although my confidence developed over time and more of my personality came out over time for me to be, my true authentic self. Of course, yourself, Grant, when you start off doing video, you're a shadow of yourself and you're thinking too much about the camera. But, the more that grows, the more you kind of grow into your role and you grow into the personality, the true you. And that's when you're able to give more and more value. So, in terms of myself, me putting myself on the map, I was very clear in the direction that I wanted to take. And the starting point of that clarity was exactly who I wanted to help. Going on from there, it builds in terms of your marketing strategy and your tactics. So aligning myself with some other influencers out there with bigger audiences that we were able to have these conversations and answer those questions, and then aligning myself with bigger people than me, the true masters of the industry, the likes of Marty Neumeier and David Acker, people who have been in the industry for 20, 30 years, who have written, books that have sold millions. Because these create associations. I'm sitting there having a chat with Marty Neumeier, who Steve Jobs was a fan of, and by default I'm associating myself with that caliber of person. So brand building happens on many different levels, but in order to start out, and I love the old saying, 1,000-mile journey starts with one step. In order to take that very first step and those first few steps in the right direction, you have to be very, very clear on where you're going and getting crystal clear on exactly who you're trying to help, how you're going to help them, and how that's different to your competitors is the very first step. From there, everything else becomes easier because you know where you're going. And from there, you can add tactics and, techniques to what you're doing to better market yourself out in the world. But if you know who you're trying to help and you know why you're different, everything else falls into place after that.
I think you're hitting it. I feel it. You're hitting all the notes. I'm listening to the music, right? I can hear the music because I'm on the other side. I'm on the other side of that, meaning here I am in Miami, Florida, right? I'm that guy. You don't know me, right? And I'm sifting through, different things. I'm trying to find my clarity. I'm trying to find that step. And I stumble upon you through YouTube. Now, you've built out is that your go-to audience? Is it your YouTube platform?
My YouTube and my blog. So a lot of people find me through my blog and a lot of people find me through YouTube. They are the two most active spaces. I do have your traditional channels like Facebook and even TikTok today. But really where I'm able to give the most value are through those videos and through those articles. So that's where I bring most of the value.
Well, I want to ask this question. How did you get, we jump right into this. And you tell a little story about how you chose branding as your way, but you got a story even before you made the transition into making strategy your go-to tactic to build your business. When did you get started in this, and what attracted you to this business in the first place?
This episode is brought to you by 5-Star BDM. 5-Star BDM is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for small to mid-sized businesses and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our 5-Star business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. The result is more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Please visit www.5starbdm.com to learn more and view all the episodes of Follow the Brand.
Well, yeah. So way back when I was actually, I was actually in finance, and my traditional education background is economics and finance. So I was providing stock and options advice to investors, both retail and institutional. I had licenses to trade, which not brokers can't trade in Australia. You need a very, very specific license. I had a license to do that. So I had this budding career in this direction that was very, very blue collar and very respected. But I'm very much into self-development, and I tried as hard as I tried to read finance books. I just found them, boring as all hell. So I remember I was sitting on a bus. I was reading a book called The Way of the Turtle, and it's about investing like a turtle for the long term. Playing the slow game. And I used to hate getting on the bus because I knew I had to open my book and read, a few more pages. And, around about that time, it was like, it was after the GFC. People didn't have the same perception about brokers that they did back, when I decided that that's what I wanted to be. And I was kind of at this crossroads. I was like, well, if you could do something completely different, what would you do? And I knew that I loved design, and I knew that I loved branding, even though I really didn't know what branding was. So that's what I did. I pulled the pin. I exited my career that I had up until that point. Then I went into design and went into the agency world and start climbing the ladder as a designer in the agency world. And when I left there, I started to get a lot of referrals on the side. So it was like this organic transition to become a full-time freelancer. And that's when I hit that point of seeing the change in the marketplace, turn into this environment that was very, very difficult to compete in. And that's when I hit, the world of brand strategy. And I was able to couple that with my business background as well, because I was comfortable sitting in boardrooms with CEOs and so I had that in my back pocket. So when I was speaking with clients about strategy instead of just design, I didn't feel too out of my depth. In the beginning, I did feel a little bit out of my depth, but my previous career kind of gave me a bit of support in that. And then it just became about developing out that service and that process and knowing exactly who my audience was. I didn't know that you, Grant, would someday stumble upon my videos, but I did have a profile and a persona that very much replicated you. Now, the demographics and the psychographics, they can only give you so much, and chances are, I had different demographics and psychographics, but where personas are very, very helpful in aligning exactly who your audience is, it's through the challenges. Because whether you're 22 and living in Croatia, or whether you're 45 and living in Washington, if you have the same challenges and problems, that's where you meet in terms of the persona, and that's where you get the value of that. And when you're crystal clear on that, and when you know those challenges that they're going through, that's when you start to attract the same type of person, not based on their demographics or psychographics, but based on their challenges and based in the point they are in their lives. And that's where I really feel that, exploring that more. I continue to explore that with the things that I read. I'm very much into psychology and understanding neuroscience and the way we think, because at the end of the day, if we're building brands, as I said before, we're not building corporate entities, we're building human entities to connect with other humans. And the more you understand about that human and what makes them tick and what influences them in their lives, the better place you are to build a brand that considers that and considers their factors that they have in their day-to-day lives to make those connections and resonate with who they are. So that's the kind of 5-minute journey from the finance world to the branding world and where I am today.
No, that's a great story. I've heard similar stories, meaning people that are good in marketing, they have this finance background. And I was asking a chief marketing officer, he said, yeah, I had a finance background. I got a master's degree in finance. I said, well, how do you get into marketing? What is the correlation? He said, because there's a lot of metrics in marketing. There's a lot of metrics and things you have to measure and get results. And I like that, because most people, when they think of marketing and design world, they see the colors, right? They see the art of the business and not understanding the business of branding. There's a whole business around that. I wanted to ask you, before we get a little deeper into that, when you were a designer, you say you were a designer. What were you, an HTML designer? What was your expertise that you were leveraging?
Yeah, my expertise was logo and visual identity design. Also web design as well. But really and of course, my design skills and experience span much broader than that in terms of print design, environmental design. But really where I got excited was through brand design, because to me, it was the ultimate blank canvas that allowed you to go anywhere. And because I wasn't following any kind of strategy to kind of give me some boundaries as to exactly what I was doing and who I was actually trying to connect with and what message we were trying to send to them, that's how I approached it. I approached it with as this blank canvas, and I just explored all different types of avenues. So that's where my design expertise was, and really, a lot of branding professionals today, that's where their expertise lies as well. So, a lot of clients, a lot of entrepreneurs believe that when they need a brand, they need to go and find a designer. And that's part of the problem that we have today. We've got a problem on the client side in understanding what true branding is and where they need to go for that kind of service. And we have a problem on the service side where we have designers who are skilled in producing these visually beautiful assets, not really understanding what branding is and the connection between, the audience and the differentiation strategy within the market and how important that is. So that is the gap that I'm trying to close now. But I've come from it from a design perspective, and I know a lot of my audience are from that world as well, because when it comes to professional brand builders, most clients and entrepreneurs, they look to designers to help them build their brand because they believe the brand are the visuals.
That's so true. And that's what was intimidating for me, because I was not a designer, right? But I wanted to go into this brand world because my expertise is in business development. I've been in technology, information technology, 20, 25 years. I've seen and looked at a lot of different brands. I mean, hundreds and thousands of different technology brands and their messaging. And to be very candid, it was awful. It was absolutely terrible, because as a salesperson, you have to take that message and what you have as assets and bring it to the market and to be unique and to be like, hey, I am the greatest because of this or that. And if your marketing information is never, it will, for me, it was not what I intended to be. I found myself, speaking to all my sales professionals out there, having to recreate some of these things and having to do it like, no, this is the audience, because it's not just and I'll say it like this. Sometimes they create brands that are more generic. And when you're in specific deals, significant situations, you need something that's more specific and unique. And you're going to need to have to change and mold. Well, they don't give you that license a lot to change and mold and to create. And then you have to break that tether. I'm going to create some things myself. I've got people now in the sales game. They see me on my podcast, right? They see some of the things I do. Like, man, I'm so envious. He's able to create for himself. He's creating messaging. He can do things. He can talk to his audience. This is wonderful. So there's different avenues that you can take to come to the branding world, because we are in a technological society. We are in a digital construct right now that the physical world is a part of. We're starting to see now lots of roads going into this virtual world. I want to talk to you a little bit now about what you see happening, because the landscape is changing. The landscape is changing, right? So in the next 2 years, it's going to change even more. So how do you see yourself as a part of this change?
Yeah, look, it is absolutely, scary, exciting. It's this idea of, it brings to life all the sci-fi movies that we've seen, from the Minority Report, hopefully not to the Terminator,
Yeah, right.
but all of, and it's surreal now that we're kind of in that world. I've got a friend, another influencer in the space, Jacob Cass, and he's just done a virtual expo where, he's there in the room with hundreds of other people giving this talk, and he's able to turn around and speak to them. And it's crazy. We're already there. But the beauty about branding to me, and now I want to be very clear on this, the marketing world is going to change dramatically in terms of the channels and the distribution and the way you get your message out there. 100%. The tactics, the techniques, they're all going to change. But what absolutely does not change and will never, ever change is the fact that a brand exists to serve an audience. That will never change. Knowing specifically the type of audience that you want to help, that's never going to change. And knowing what message to send to them, what meaning to give them as to how you are going to be a different version of what's already out there, that's never going to change, because at the end of the day, there are always going to be businesses and brands vying for the attention of people. And as long as that is true, then the brands that know and are crystal clear on exactly who their audience is, exactly who their competitors are, and what they're offering their audience, and exactly how they're different from those competitors, they're always going to be at an advantage, no matter what changes in terms of the environment, in terms of the tactics, in terms of the techniques that are out there. So as we move into this digital world and this meta world, my message is still going to be the same consistent message, and that is drilling home the fundamentals of knowing these things and then helping to develop methods and messages to then become mobilized into the market with the various techniques and strategies that are out there. So that's something that's although everything is changing in front of us, that's something that we can be reassured with, that these solid foundations that we have in place, they're not going to change, because at the end of the day, it's still people. It's still people who have a challenge, who want to overcome that challenge, who want or need somebody to come in and help them with that challenge. And they are the fundamentals that don't change.
And you're exactly right. I'm glad you went there, That is the fundamental thing I want everyone in our audience who's listening in to take away, is that you are the value. Your human self, the community of humanity is what is valuable, no matter what. The Twitters, the Facebooks, all the different social medias. Without you, they have no value. You are the value. You are what's putting out the information. You are what's putting out the brand. Whether you go now into a Web 3.0 world, the reason why that's happening is because you're going to have more opportunity for yourself to brand yourself, right? So the need for a Steve Houraghan or a Grant McGaw to like, wow, how do I brand myself? Like, yeah, how do you now take who you are and represent yourself in a digital and also a virtual community of other human beings so that it resonates? So you have communication. Here I am physically in Miami, Florida. Stephen, I believe you're in France, right?
Yes, south of France. I've just moved here in the last 4 months, and this is my new home. So yeah, it's amazing that we're that we're able to connect. I know that you had a guest from Croatia, and we're able to do these things, the way we do today. It's absolutely great. But at the end of the day, why are we here? We're solving problems that people need and discussing different ways to overcome those problems. The medium changes. We're not on radio the way we would have been maybe 10, 15 years ago. It's podcasts now. We're not on billboards, thank God for that. But we're the medium changes, the strategies change, yet here we are addressing problems that a certain group of people want to overcome so that they can achieve some kind of objective. And that's the beauty of what we're doing, is that doesn't change.
I tell you, I want to know more about your business now. Tell the audience more about your academy, the Brand Builders Academy, how they can get contact with it. But to tell us, what are you doing that is so helpful for other people?
Yeah, so I essentially filled the gap that existed when I came to that crossroads and I needed somebody to help me. What I needed was somebody to understand that, yes, it is a complicated market. Yes, there are a lot of professional brand builders and service providers who are charging low costs, and it's becoming more and more difficult for you to compete on that level. Yes, there is another way, and yes, with that way you can better help your clients and to earn more money as you do it, differentiate yourself and attract the right type of people. So that's what Brandmaster Academy does. Essentially, it teaches professional brand builders how to to make a move away from the tactical work that has become so commoditized today, and to get paid for their thinking, so that they're strategizing with their clients about the things that we've already spoken about, so that they can help their clients understand their place in the market, and to build a brand that they don't just look at and say, that's nice, but they build a brand that their client believes in, that they feel part of, that they feel that they've got this representation of their business that means everything, and that is going out there into the market with confidence that they can attract the right clients. So teaching brand builders all of those frameworks, techniques, processes, that's what we do in the academy, through flagship programs, through tools. And then we also give a lot of information away for free on the YouTube channel, on the blog channel. So even those who don't take our programs, they're still able to learn a lot, to better serve their clients, and to produce a better level of service, and hopefully increase their fees as they're doing it. But what I'm trying to do through Brandmaster Academy is to close that gap, both on the business owner side and on the professional brand builder side, so that the businesses and brands that are being built out there, the numbers of those that try and don't succeed start to reduce a little bit. And the more professional brand builders that know their craft and that can help their clients to build brands through strategy, and the more clients that understand that branding is not just a logo, the better we are all going to be, because the businesses out there will will succeed a lot more. And if those businesses are succeeding, they're helping more people to overcome their challenges as well.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job, and I'm almost assured that because you're doing this, that you've been doing this now for a while, that you've built out community, that you've met some very amazing people in what they're doing. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Like all you have to do is look at the podcast and the guests that I've had on there, and you've got some big names like Marty Neumeier and David Acker and Chris Doe, and some best-selling authors. The author Michael Bungay Stanier, who wrote The Coaching Habit, and so many other authors within the space that I admire. But then you also have professionals who have been in the game who don't have the author name or the massive profile, because they've been busy in the trenches leading the biggest agencies in the world, like BBDO and Leo Burnett and Ogilvy, to be able to rub shoulders with these people and to be able to really dig into the processes that they've used to build the likes of Coke and McDonald's and BMW, to be able to speak with these individuals and ask them questions. It's just been an absolute dream for me to be able to do that. So, Brandmaster Academy has given me a platform to bring the information to the people who need it. But really, I'm geeking out as I'm doing it, speaking to these people and going, wow, I'm speaking to Marty Neumeier. I can't believe that. So there have been quite a lot of moments on the journey where I've really pinched myself, and I never take it for granted the people that I'm speaking to, and the honor that I have of being able to sit down for 30, 45 minutes, an hour, speaking with people who other people would pay tens of thousands of dollars to speak to. So it's been great with that, and because I'm able to ask questions from the perspective of my audience who are professional brand builders, it helps me to bring more value through these experts as well. So the podcast has given me a great platform to be able to do something a little bit different, and to be able to rub shoulders with these great people who I consider my idols.
I completely agree. The platform for me, we're on our platform, the Follow the Brand the Follow the Brand podcast, and the community that I have been able to be associated with has grown exponentially. I would have never, ever been able to get to the level that I have gotten to by doing it in any other way that I can think of. Because right now I could look at and see, Stephen on YouTube, right? I can gain some good intelligence. No doubt. But the live conversation that you can have and share the knowledge with not only my audience, but his audience, that when that all comes together and you're sharing, and all that sharing is taking place on all these different networks, everybody benefits. Everybody benefits as we all are on this journey to a higher plateau of expressing who we are as human beings.
And I love that. And a book that I read quite a few years ago now was actually from Gary Vaynerchuk. And I know Gary has blown up since then, but he wrote a book called The Thank You Economy, where, and this was before I kind of delved into brand strategy, but it really shifted my perspective on the role that I was playing. And, it really helped me to go out there and to give more to my clients. And I love that strategy, because I'm not taking. There are many strategies out there where you're just taking, you're just asking, you're just, you're trying to get what you can from the market. But, if you adopt a philosophy of giving more than you get, then you get more than you expected in the first place. So I absolutely love that about, about brand building, because that's not marketing, that is brand building. And it's something that obviously I'm very, very passionate about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This has been wonderful, Stephen. I want you to give the audience the best way to contact you in case they want to talk to you directly or be a part of your academy.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to brandmasteracademy.com or search for Brandmaster Academy on YouTube, and all roads will lead back to the website. And from there, you can either get in touch or you can download the Pro Brand Strategy Blueprint that is pretty much going to wrap up everything that I spoke about and give you a bit of a framework to work from to do that. And on that website as well, you've got hundreds of articles. On YouTube, you've got hundreds of videos. So if brand strategy is something that you're into, then it'll take you a long time to get through all of my stuff, but you will learn a lot along the way.
Love it. And for everyone on the Follow Brand podcast, we want to thank you for being a guest on the show. And I would encourage all of your guests as well as mine to continue to follow the brand at www.5starbdm. And that is B for brand, B for development, and informasters.com. Thank you very much, Stephen, for being on the show.
Grant, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.